Coach Prime said this. He said, life is truly a gift. That's why we call it the present.
614 Headsets is proud to be sponsored by Fundraising University Ohio. Fundraising University Ohio offers a variety of fundraising efforts that helps football teams run profitable, effective, and fast-paced fundraisers designed to raise the most money in the shortest amount of time to reach their fundraising goals. Fundraising University Ohio is locally owned, operated, and with their 6-step blitz system will help your team maximize profits. Brent Maxwell with Fundraising University will sit down and help you strategize and execute your fundraiser. If you're interested in us running a fundraiser for you, please contact Brent at the letter B, Maxwell at fundraising.net or 740-501-8946 to learn how you can get started with fundraising.
It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
But eat a damn snack.
You're like my wife when you get in space. You just get lost.
It's ahead! Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long. It's ahead!
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to 614 Headsets. We are the football podcast where we say strategy meets story. We hope to be your spot for entertaining and educational football content, right? I don't know. Some episodes, it's maybe more of one or the other. I'm not sure. But hey, here we are. We're on episode 75 today in this great journey, 3 years in together. Got a fantastic guest, a little bit different. Donovan's not here. We threw a few jabs just to see if he even watches the episode, and we're not even going to tell him. We're just going to wait and see if he responds to anything that was said. So
Great idea, Kyle.
It's like
Great
a little
idea.
it's a little Easter egg in the episode to see if our man listens. You know what I mean?
And I doubt he does. That's what I'll put my money on that.
I doubt it. Did you like what I did there, though?
I do like
Easter
that.
egg.
Easter
I
egg,
like it.
yeah.
How's the
job,
week
Kyle.
been, Ryan? How's it been, man? How you doing?
Kyle, we are living the dream. Besides the fact, I will say the Northland Vikings had a rough start to their boys tennis season. We dropped 2 games early this year. We dropped Centennial and Whetstone, the 2 better city schools at tennis for demographics and obvious. Like where you see their schools are located, you can see why they're better at tennis. But we shouldn't have lost those games, though, Kyle. I'm going to keep it real with you. We gave up a lot of double faults that I didn't like. If you know anything about tennis?
Nothing,
Kyle?
brother. Nothing.
Right, yeah,
I've never even played it. Other than the Wii, I've never played any tennis in my life.
Tough day. But then we got our first dub today. Shout out to my boys.
Let's
All
go.
right? But hopefully they listen to this. No, none of them will. But no, it's been a great week. We're just rolling. Got the update too that we need to have everything out of the stadium by spring break because they're doing our renovations and redoing the whole entire locker room and everything.
There you go. There we go. Are we talking no more leaking on in the equipment? We're getting some upgrades.
Brand new everything, brother. No more videos that I get to send Kyle of the water coming through.
Happy for you, man. But hey, if you haven't had a chance yet, or you're listening now, or maybe listen for a while and you haven't done it yet, take out that phone, like, subscribe, leave us a review. I know we got a few new ones over the last couple of weeks. We appreciate you guys helping grow our following and grow the show and just celebrate high school football, college football. Episode 75 today, we got Ian Tatum, Coach Tatum, the offensive coordinator at Walkertown High School. If you're a football coach and you're on next, you've seen him, right? He's doing a fantastic job with his Coach Tatum YouTube and his Tatum clinics and things. So excited to have him on today to talk about a really cool offseason topic about crafting the blueprint, right? Getting into talking about how do you go back and evaluate the previous season? What are some of the strategies you use, or what's your framework? What do you do for professional development? And then how do you start putting the plan together for the next season? I think it's super relevant because as coaches, we're either past it or still in it a little bit. It's a great topic to think about. And I love listening to some of these topics and on other podcasts as I'm driving around and thinking about what we're doing and stealing a little bit. So we hope you steal a few strategies from us today as we have a nice little roundtable discussion. But it's that time, man, where we got to get into the locker rocker, right? This locker rocker segment. Football coaches, listen up. You spend hours in the weight room and on the field pushing your athletes to be their absolute best. But are they fueling their bodies with the right supplements to maximize performance and recovery? Max Effort Muscle provides safe, trusted, and effective supplements designed specifically for athletes, trusted by Division I strength coaches and top college programs across the country. Their lineup includes everything your team needs to train harder, recover faster, and perform at their peak, from whey protein, amino recovery, creatine monohydrate, and NDR hydrate.
Listen, everybody knows football is won in the trenches. Don't let poor nutrition be the weak link in your program. Reach out to them today and get your team on Max Effort Muscle. They work with any team, any size, any budget. Visit maxeffortmuscle.com and email Tyler Treadway. His email is treadway@maxeffortmuscle.com to learn more about team pricing, partnerships, and get a custom package made for your team for as low as $250.
Yes, I am, man. And so I'm sitting around. It's me this week. And I'm sitting around and I'm watching Coach Prime season 3 on Amazon Prime. And episode 1, 15 minutes in, he dropped a locker rocker that I knew I had to go back, rewind, and write down, right? And Coach Prime said this. He said, "Life is truly a gift. That's why we call it the present." You think about that, right? And it's very much, he's just talking to his team about living in the now. There's no better time than now. Living in the present, being where your feet are. Fantastic liner by Deion Sanders. He's got a lot of them, but I loved it. Talking about living the present as a father, as a coach. We've talked about this, Ryan, the struggles of being parents where sometimes you only got 30 minutes with your kids and you got to make them 30 minutes the best it's ever been. If it's go to the park, if it's roll around on the ground, no matter how tired you are, you got to live in the now, man. It's a gift. It's a present to you. And your players, man, you matter. You matter to your players, man. That's another thing I thought about. Sometimes it can be hard in the off season or hard during the season, and you wonder what your worth is at times and things like that. And you matter. You really do. I think football is still vital to today's a lot of young men in our society and the things that it teaches young men and the values, and you're needed, right? So if you're listening, man, live in the now, be present. You're needed. Trust your job title, man. Be where your feet are. Your job is the most important job. Be where you're at. Water the grass where you're standing. Don't think about the next job. Don't think about what's bigger or complain about where you're at or what it has or if your stadium's leaking on your equipment, man. Like, your job's the best job. It's the present, man.
Just be present. I love it. I actually love that. And just be present with your guys. Like, in the off season is tough. You know, you don't get to see them every day like you do, but being present in their life and understanding that they're still your football players, still your guys, and asking those questions is just, like I tell our guys that every day that I see you, you're going to hear two things, right? Like, how are you as a person is one of them. Then you're also going to hear, I love you, right? Let them know that you still love them and everything. And I think the one thing that you brought up, Kyle, is being present as a father. That's a huge thing for me right now. Is like, this is the time of year to be able to just be there for your own household and stuff. And I think that's a huge thing that we can do as football coaches, be there for your significant other too, so you get them PPs added up.
PPs, they're important. You ain't like Tom Herman giving little smooches to your guys too, are you?
Nah, I'm good there.
Did you ever see that? Tom Herman
I did see that.
I bet you're a little Tom. All right,
I
make
can
it
see
sure.
Bruce doing that.
Don't do that. Bruce gonna cut you down. Bruce listens to this show. We're going to show up at 7:07. He's going to pop you, and you're going to know why. But once again, episode 75, life is truly a gift. That's why we call it the present. We got a great episode. Let's get into it. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Let's go. Back on the 614 headsets, man. Excited for this episode. Missing Donnie, right? O-line guy.
He's intimidated.
Donnie got a little scared to get on tonight.
Intimidated.
So okay. We got the better O-line coach on tonight. That's what it is. No, of course, we got to throw something at Donnie. But excited for this episode. We got Ian Tatum on with us. Coach Tatum, you could talk about your journey and what you do, and you host some things too on the virtual side of things that I've seen on your Twitter. Enlighten everybody what you do and where you're from and what's going on with you.
Yeah, for sure, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on. I've been keeping up with y'all's podcast for a while, and I'm always good down for good coaching podcasts. I love it. I appreciate you having me on. But I'm Ian Tatum, offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, Walkertown High School in North Carolina. It's right outside of Winston-Salem, Triad area. I've been coaching for about 10 years now, predominantly offensive line. That's where I hang my hat. growing up, I played a little private school ball that's not even around anymore. But then I was a preferred walk-on at Gardner-Webb, which is near Charlotte, FCS school. Quickly realized I was not good and better than anybody. So I was better at the middle side and the coaching side of it. So after a year, I decided to get into coaching. I was a student assistant at Gardner-Webb under my O-line coach, Kenny Ray. Did anything I could do, kind of as an undergraduate assistant, just learning the game up close from the D1 program. Did that, and then I came home, finished my degree online, and I decided let's jump into it. Let's start actually coaching football. I ended up coaching 3 different squads at the same time. One was a JV and a varsity for another private school, and then a middle school, all like in the same year. I did that for about 4 years, all volunteer, starting out. And I've said this to anybody that I give advice for getting into the coaching profession. I think everybody should at least coach middle school or 1A football at least at some point in their career, because it'll make you a better coach because you're having to work with obviously not as many kids, not as much resources, and having to make things work and make it happen every day. So I did that for about 4 years. Before I was married, I would substitute teach. I would at a middle school. I would work at that middle school. I would coach in the afternoon. And then I would go drive 30 minutes to the Greensboro area and coach JV and varsity until 8:30 at night. And I did that for 4 years, like I said. After that, we ended up moving to Virginia Beach, working for a man by the name of John Keppel at Tallwood High School. Went from coaching middle school and private school guys to having 5 senior offensive linemen at 6A football in the state of Virginia. It was a huge culture shock doing that, but had a great time. COVID ended up happening, came back home, working at North Rowan High School outside of Salisbury, just north of Charlotte. That was 1A football. And that's where a lot of things that I hang my hat on today, and a lot of things I talk with coaches about a lot, started to develop, because I worked for a great offensive line coach as my head coach, Nigel Pearson. He was a coordinator at South Carolina State and at Catawba College here at D2, and some wealth of knowledge I got to learn under. I was there for 3 years, and then I decided to spread my wings and come to Walkertown, try my hand at this coordinating thing. And I've been here, this is going into my 3rd year. First year wasn't great. We were extremely young. But last year went to the second round of the playoffs, went 8-4. Did a lot of great things on offense. So that's me in a nutshell, coaching wise. And then, like y'all mentioned before, like social media, stuff like that I do. I run Coach Tatum on YouTube. We put out coaching videos like everybody, right? Like a lot of people are doing now, just trying to share anything they know or anything that they've learned to coaches. And that's really has blown up for me over the last almost 2.5 years doing that. It's great. It's nice being recognized at clinics, and not because of recognition to pat myself on the back, just because something we've put out or somebody's done a clinic for me and it's, hey man, I learned something, it helped me out. Because that's part of my why is helping kids, but also coaching coaches and helping out people that way. And then we have a pretty good presence on Twitter, putting out stuff, offensive line, running game specific on Twitter, and we host all-day clinics we can get into probably at some point. But we host an offensive lineman in January and a coordinator one we just had last Saturday, which lots of coaches come out. It's an all-day, it's like 8 to 8, all day for me. But we have 24, 25 speakers, 30-minute segments. It's all free. Really good time. So that's kind of what we do in the off season. Keeps me busy. But I love putting out resources for coaches, and the best thing for me, I say it's all free because I didn't pay to learn any of this stuff, and nobody else should. But yeah, football is huge for me. It's a big part of my life, obviously, and just trying to help other coaches and then give back to the kids and trying to make them great young men.
I love it. I love catching into some of those clinics, man. I haven't sat there from an 8 to an 8. My wife would never let that fly. But
yeah,
I hopped on the one that was on the other week for a little bit while I was eating lunch, and that's where I met Coach Rolfus, and I was watching him talk. And you do a great job, man. Thanks for all that you do. Those are going awesome. So, and if you haven't,
is wild.
It's wild.
Yeah. So
technically, this guy's definitely freezing the screen and bouncing out of there for
There's
a little bit.
No way.
I do. Yeah, and I use StreamYard. So I love that y'all use StreamYard. So obviously, I just put myself in the background, turn my camera off, and I go downstairs, I grab something, or I come back to the bathroom, come back. But it's usually when I schedule it strategically, right? My wife's going out of town or she's going somewhere, so I have all day, right?
Yeah.
So that's how we do it. But yeah, 8 to 8 is crazy, but I enjoy it, and Just learning football personally right here, and then thousands of coaches join us and watch as well.
It's a
I
new
feel like
media,
I'm thinking
man.
about mine, and it would be like that I'd be with Kyle and Donnie from 8 to 8, and I would just be miserable on my end.
I think it sounds great. I would love it. We'd have to host
Hanging
it
out
in
with
person.
Kyle and Donnie to 8,
We
I
got to
think I
host
would
that.
die.
We got to host that in person. But hey, let's get to know Coach a little bit more, Ryan. Let's get into this. It's going to be a first for him. He don't know about the pick six segment. Let's get into it.
Oh, the best segment of them all. The Pick Six segment is powered by Storied Rivals. Sports, media, championships, friendships, and life lessons are among the most meaningful parts of the athletic competition. They are passionate about preserving them by offering the most unique highlight experience available.
That's right. And Storied Rivals delivers your team's content with services designed to change the way you experience these unforgettable moments now and for a lifetime. Storied Rivals now offers a complete team apparel and player shop customizable to your program. Contact them by email info@storyrivals.com. Coaches, great time to get with them, set up your combine gear, get your stuff set up for player shops, things like that for your players, your community, as you get ready to get rolling this season. They do a great job, and we used them last year, and everything came out fantastic. So, Coach, you're going to get 6 random questions. We're going to go back and forth here. Ryan, you got the first one.
So, Coach, real quick, for you, obviously, last week I was with a group of O-line that were just some big old slobs at this camp that I was working at. And I told them that, one, offensive linemen are the weirdest group I've ever been around. I think offensive linemen, even in college, it's a unique group of individuals. Oh, yeah. But then also for you, I'm curious, what's your favorite aspect? What's the number one aspect that you love about coaching the offensive line?
100% the brotherhood. There's 5 of us on the field at all times. Anytime anybody knows anything about run game and structuring that, everybody's job depends on somebody else's. So whether we're going to be comboing, even if you have solo blocks, we're covering gaps to run the football. Definitely the brotherhood and the trust and accountability and dependability you have to have on your brothers across the line. 100% that is it. We're the only position in all sports that has the ball on his back, and we never get any recognition. So I love the unselfishness of it and just the brotherhood.
If you can't tell, 50-50, Mr. All Gas, Mr. Pop Smoke played defensive line, and you could tell that's where the resentment was buried deep from his past.
No, even my O-line coach, man, that's my guy, right? Like, I love Pete Cutton, but he's weird. And Kyle, when I coached with Kyle, right, he's weird. He's a weird dude. Like, it's just a weird crew.
Hey, it takes a different type of cat. We're extremely protective. We're quirky. We love good food, but we're going to make it happen, man.
I like what you just said. Different type of cat. There ain't no dogs in that O-line room.
All right. Enough of this nonsense.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, Kyle.
How many nicknames does one average guy you need in life? All right, Coach, what's one concept maybe you've loved but never seems to have the success you'd hope for? In the run game, there's just so many different ideas and things. Like, I'll give you mine because sometimes I feel like that helps a guest think about their answer. But for me, it's wham. The old tagging wham to a zone. I love it. It looks sexy every time you see it. But in actuality, I feel like every time I've gone to run it, something happens somewhere and it never quite looks the same.
Yeah. So I'm a huge gap scheme guy, and I would probably say outside zone. I just feel, and I've talked about this before, I feel like the thought process on the board, zone is great, right? It looks nice. Everybody's accounted for a gap play side. But when you actually rep it in practice, like you have to devote and marry yourself to it. Whereas on the flip, gap scheme to me, and I've been coaching it for a while now, but getting my kids to understand it. When you put it on the board, oh, guys are going this way, guys going that way, guys pulling over here, he's kicking here. It might seem difficult, but when you get them on the field, it's, oh, yeah, gap down background, I'm pulling, right? Kids love to pull. So it's a little more easier in actually application. But I say outside zone, right, because I just don't feel like we have enough time to be the best at it because we do run so many more gap schemes.
It's expensive, right? It's one of those expensive concepts that if you want to be great at it, like your personnel has to be right. You got to be able to coach it well. And it's so much time spent on, hey, I'm reach overtake. Hey, I'm reach chip climb. Hey, I'm reach go nap. There's 3 different reads, and it's an expensive one.
Yeah. I feel like you need to be able to key the hips or knees, wherever you're reading and all that type of stuff. But it also, we get to the outside running game with other ways, different tags of power and counter and stuff like that, or buck sweep, running stuff like that. So we can get to it I just feel like it's easier to rep the other ones in practice than in games.
I was gonna say, I think that outside zone or some of our pin and pull game, it always sounds like it's gonna be beautiful and work great, and then I'm like, that never works.
Yeah.
But it looks great on paper. But Coach, it's Easter time. We're near Easter time, right? Kyle, why are you getting a smirk on your face when I start saying?
I'm waiting to see if this is a candy question. That's all.
It is very much so a candy question.
Heck yeah.
Coach, are you a Peeps guy?
No, I'm not. I'm not prepared. Hey, not many food questions I can't be prepared for. I'm not a Peeps guy. My grandma, love her to death. She's no longer with us, but she was a Peeps till she all the way to the day she died. And I just couldn't do it. I'm not a big fan. Like not that I don't like marshmallow, I just don't like Peeps. I don't know.
I love me a good old squishy Peep.
Mm.
Ain't nothing better.
I'll have one or two just for the nostalgia of it, but it's not like I really like them, you know.
Go open me a pack right now here in a few minutes.
It's
Is
like
your diet over? We hit April's. The diet over?
I'm joking. I actually don't have any Peeps or anything in the house, so I wish. I honestly, every time I walk by the aisle, Kyle, and I'm dead serious. The jelly. Has anybody checked the jelly bean aisle? If you follow the show, can we result back? Sorry, Coach Tatum. I don't know if you watched, but can we go back, Kyle? Have we checked the jelly bean aisle?
I did have a new jelly bean come to the house, and it is, I don't know if I actually told you about this. My wife brought it home, but is it Trolley who makes the sour things? The Trolley jelly beans are the best things I've ever had in my life.
Has jelly bean game stepped up over the years now?
It has changed so much. My mom brought over we've talked about how my mom listens to every show. Love you, Ma. She brought over some of the Starburst ones. And the next thing you know, my wife had these the sour jelly beans from a Trolley. It's amazing.
I'm taking any orders from your mom if she wants to send me some jelly beans for after when my diet's done. So Miss Stout, good, and
it's gonna happen. She's gonna come in with a lot of. Every time she shows up, she's got bags of candy for Harper or me. So you just wait. So I'm keeping in food here for number 4, Coach. Yeah. Heading south on this question. Let's talk barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
What is your sauce choice? Are you a vinegar type guy, a mustard base, Kansas City? What's your choice?
So my dad, he's Kansas City certified barbecue pitmaster. So barbecue's our deal. I've grilled out my whole life. I had barbecue from all over. It might be a hot take, but people that know me know this. I don't like vinegar-based barbecue sauce. Whether it be Eastern North Carolina, Lexington, whatever it is. I don't mind saying that because I don't like it. But not that I don't like vinegar. I just don't like vinegar and molasses mixed together with some chili flakes and calling it barbecue sauce. It's just not me. But I'm more of a Texas style, more of a darker. I like Kansas City red. That's nothing wrong with that. And I like all type. If it tastes good, I like it. But it's just the vinegar, I'm not a fan. I like South Carolina Gold. I like even the mayo based in Alabama. But yeah, I would say more of a Texas style.
All right, I'm with you. I can't get down with the vinegar base. It just doesn't do it for me.
No, I'm not a vinegar based guy either. I would say, Coach, for you that being down south, I'm gonna transition to a different question because I'm just curious now. Talking about you, the pitmaster runs in the family. What's the number one cut of meat that you like to cook?
Ooh, if I'm going simple, I like chicken thighs. If I'm going, hey, we're going to devote some time to this, a nice pork butt, a whole shoulder, whatever, you can chop it up and have full pork.
I like that.
That one's better. But if it's something quick, I prefer some chicken thighs, or I like sausage links, anything like that.
Kyle just likes good old ground beef meat.
Don't sleep on smoking some of them sides. Some smoked mac and cheese, some smoked little queso sausage dip.
That smoker is an oven, man. You can put whatever you want in there.
It's great. Coach, last question.
Yeah.
I'm ask this. I'm ready to hear some interesting takes. It could be from you too, Ryan. I know you got a lot. What's a current player trend or pet peeve you have with coaching right now?
Player pet peeve.
I'll start. I give you time to think. I can't do this whole double mouth guard thing. I think it's the dumbest trend in the world. The huge double mouth guards, different colors.
Yes.
Dumb.
But they didn't let us do that in high school last year, or shouldn't have. You weren't supposed to be able to have 2 mouth guards. But
Dumb.
mine is, it's just the time of year that we're in right now too, and we talk about it every year. It's the 7-on-7. We're gonna jump around a guy because we dunked on him. We're gonna be putting the ball on his head. O-lineman throwing dudes and grabbing them by their shirts and not really having them up, but everybody's juicing it up because they slung a dude to the ground.
Shooting money, coming out with
Yeah,
like, 7-on-7 culture. Yeah.
That's what it is. The 7-on-7 culture is just something that I hate more than anything right now.
Yeah, I guess I have a couple. Like the double mouth guard is dumb. I'm definitely on that. Definitely, I don't mind visors, but I mind dumb visors. Maybe they have slime written across it, or if you have a clear visor, I got you, no problem. Maybe have a darker tint, but if it's a colored visor, something that you're going to say something about, and they're all like, "Oh, we're only doing it for warm ups. We'll take it off during the game." And I'm like, "We ain't got time for this crap." So it's something like that, or the BTA, belt to ass. That is that. I don't know if y'all have kids do that or kids that do that. Like they take the belt and they want to spank kids going down the line.
Or their towel or something, and then
towel. Yeah. So that happened one game, and our district got on it fast. Our kids, a couple of ours tried to. They did it like a couple times. We stopped them. Just you're not gonna disrespect your opponent like that, especially if you won. Like we would go celebrate. Come over here, y'all can celebrate. Y'all can do whatever you want to because we won. But yeah, we're not gonna act fool to our opponents. But our district put down like, hey, if it's happening, like kids are being suspended. I nipped it in the bud. But yeah, that's a terrible trend as well.
Maybe the best part of COVID football in Ohio was the stopping of shaking hands and you just waved. Yeah. There's one thing that we could keep around. I'm with that one. You know what I mean? Limit the issues that come up. I'm with that. So that's a good one, Coach. I like that. Hey, that's a Pick Six segment. We know a little bit about Coach Tatum, lover of barbecue, swears a smoker is a certified oven. Let's get to talk a little football now.
Yeah.
All right, getting into episode 75, Crafting the Blueprint. And the main topic today is sponsored by First Down Playbook. First Down Playbook is the nation's leading playbook and play design software with over 35,000 professionally drawn and edible team plays with notes and full playbooks to start from. You'll be on your way to getting an edge over the competition. First Down Playbook can be your entire team management system with practice schedules, scripts, custom QB wristbands, and more. If you use the code headsets25, all caps, or mention our show, you'll receive 15% off the already most affordable option in today's game. Take a look at the links provided in our show notes and get started with them. They also have a free trial. They're one of the only ones that gives a free trial. You can test it out, see how you like it before you dive into it. We both use it with our programs. We're moving it down to our lower levels too, so we're big believers and stand behind the product they have. So, Coach, we're talking about crafting the blueprint, right? I wanted to pick your brain and all of us just have a conversation about your off season. How do you go back and evaluate the prior season? How do you build the foundation for the next season? Okay. And so I think a great question to maybe start with, and Coach, you can go ahead and answer this. What's your process? How do you go back and evaluate the prior season? Is there anything unique that you do, or you say this is foundational? I do this every year.
Yeah, I don't know if anything I do is unique for sure. I guess maybe more standard, but I make sure that everything is labeled, whether something didn't get put in there, or usually it's the last game because I might watch it a little bit, but I'm not labeling it, right? Season's over. I'm pissed. Let's move forward. But yeah, make sure that game's labeled. And so we can start making some playlists and cut-ups. Then start evaluating two things off the rip. What did we do well and what did we not do well? Of course, the whole season, and then you can break it down from there. But we want to see specific offensively, what were we efficient at? Do we get how many like explosiveness, stuff like that, pass and run, based off of formation, based off of what was the opponent, based off of field position. So it's a lot of different things that go into it, but we want to just break things down. Me personally, being the offensive line coach, I want to zoom in on the run game. My head coach, he handles a lot of the passing stuff as well. We'll split that and divide and conquer. But yeah, so make sure everything is labeled, have the playlist, and then go through, evaluate what happened, what went well, why did it go well, and I have a notebook that is full of 2024 run game, and we'll go through and just be like, it would be power, right? We'll go through power clips, through a duo, counter, whatever we're running, and I'll chart what went well, what didn't, and we evaluate that. Whether or not we need to keep a scheme, move on from a scheme, or learn how to develop a scheme better, or if it's fine, something like that. So that's my process, X's and O's wise, getting into it. And you have to zone in on what did you not do well, and then two questions: can we fix it, or do we need to find something else that fits our kids better? And that's more of, because if you can run duo, great. That's awesome to watch. It's awesome to evaluate. Man, we did that really well. But if you can't run outside zone, we were talking about, you can't run outside zone very well. All right, so I need to sit down. We need a chart why we didn't, whether it was a personnel thing, or whether it was a formationally thing, or their kids were better than ours, or we weren't grasping it on our end. What was it? And then do we need to develop time to get better at it, or do we need to figure out another way to get outside? So that's something, and it's a whole bunch of different playlists, and my huddle would look insane if I showed it from the previous season of all these different playlists we go through, and we run reports and show efficiency and explosiveness and all that different type of stuff. But long-winded answer is just be like, you find your organization, make sure everything's organized and labeled, and then go through and evaluate each individual thing.
Yeah, we definitely make a lot of cut-ups and stuff too. Ryan, what about you defensively, man? You got anything unique, a little nugget you guys do?
I think just for us, like, we really look at what hurt us the most, right? What plays were 20 yards and above, 15 yards and above, or 15 yards or more, and what were similar about those plays, and why did they hit us? What were we in? What calls were we in? What calls hurt us the most? And just, we do it throughout the year, but being able to get all of them together, like every single game that we played throughout the year, see if there's any correlation to the front that we might have been in tied to this type of back end. Were those run fits realistic for our kids? And maybe did we not get there? Why didn't we get there? I feel like there's so much. And I think defense is like super unique in the off season, because we're like a read and react type of side of the ball, right? We're not calling the plays, we're reacting onto what you guys are doing. During the off season, it's kind of, I feel like it's tricky, because you're not game planning for a team. It's not like I'm looking at a team and I'm like, hey, this is what they're running at me, this is how we're going to stop it this week. It's looking at your own stuff.
We do a lot of that stuff. One thing I thought was unique that I liked that we started to do was track turnovers and track fumbles, right? And see, was there a consistency? Was there a trend in how we were fumbling the ball or having a turnover? And so one year we went through and wrote down every clip number, put in a cut up, and watched how and why we fumbled the ball, and we uncovered a trend. And so that became a huge thing then. We made sure in our turnover, our ball security drills, we were always working in something that replicated those situations again to try to improve that. We actually saw a massive increase the following year where we weren't turning the ball over that way again. So I thought that was a really unique, something that helped us a lot.
I think I also try to catch myself into what I'm like getting comfortable doing or calling on the defensive side, if that makes sense. As in, am I always calling this pressure from the front side or the back side on this same down and distance? And sometimes you'll come away with, wow, for most third and longs, I'm calling snake on this third and long, and I'm doing it from our front side or our weak side. You know what I mean? It's crazy what you'll come up with and be able to see after you're able to run your reports and what you're actually looking for.
Yeah. This time, the off season, the bullets aren't flying. You don't have an opponent on Friday. You can take time to fully evaluate your whole side of the ball, whether it be scheme or personnel or play calling, or game planning, your process, like you just said. And I think that's critical, because we do self-scout during the year, but at the end of the day, you got to self-scout, you got to get right back at it, because you have to scout for another opponent coming up. So right now is a great time to be doing that. And I think it's underrated. Some people are just like, oh, yeah, like for us, we went 8-4. And some people might be like, oh, that was good. Keep it moving. Yeah, but if you're not improving, you're not getting better. And I like what you said, Coach. Find an area where you weren't great, or, hey, just turnovers in general. Nobody wants those. So let's figure out how to limit that. And I do the same process from offensive line. Hey, when are we getting backside run through? When are we losing on blocks? Do they understand where they can lose their blocks and not hurt us? Do they know why the ball is hitting here, or where the ball's going to hit in general, so they know where their body? So understanding the full picture in the off season helps them. So when you get to camp and it's hot, hopefully they remember what you've been learning all spring, all through, and so now you can hit the ground running and go full speed.
I think we also look a lot at like personnel wise too, like what we're going to be having come back, right? Like we've already made some preliminary depth charts and
Yeah.
kind of watched some film on some of those guys. And if you look at me calling the defense 2 years ago with the linebackers that I had 2 years ago, it looked way, way different compared to what I had this year. And that was all personnel based just because I didn't have a guy that was really elite at blitzing. A lot of our guys were better at scraping and just playing over the top of things. And I was okay with that. And you just got to watch your personnel, right? And that was, we knew that going into the year because we watched film from the previous year and we're like, okay, these guys will be back for us. And then they are not good blitzers. So let's call things that feed into what they are really good at.
Yeah, that kind of gets me into next question. I think we all have a similar professional development process. I think we all go to clinics, we all chase things online. Offensively, I like to maybe study a different team, or I like to pick a topic. A couple of years ago, it was game planning. This offseason, it was clock management. Just hit some topics, and I think a lot of us do that. But how do you craft and build next season? You talked a lot about personnel, and that's where we start too, is just ranking maybe the top 20, 25 guys on the team. Doesn't matter if it's linemen or whatever. Who's the best? And let's build a depth chart from there, at least in the offseason now. And then just start talking early strengths and weaknesses. Hey, we don't have 3 tight ends this year. I don't know if 13 personnel is going to be a big thing for us like maybe it was in the year before. Just so you have an idea. I think that's one of the hard parts about offense. I heard a podcast talk about it, and the guy talked about, hey, we want to have a playbook and a menu that can have anything at any moment. Right. So if you all of a sudden have to go Wildcat, you don't have to change or install anything. It's somewhere in your program. Right. And I think we have this massive menu offensively. And then our job is to figure out what we're good at, what our personnel is, and pare it down and roll in that direction. But at least have the capability, at least the verbiage is there to do anything and everything you could ever want.
Especially throughout your staff, right? Like you're not necessarily doing that with your players or anything and getting them in on these conversations, at least expanding your knowledge in the football game with your staff and how you might call something if that were to come up later on in the season. Like us right now on the defense side of thing, like there's so many different types of cover 7 right now and different ways to play it. We're trying to find out as a defensive staff which one's going to fit us best in most of our games, but now also knowing the other ones to where if we do want to throw in like a mod or a cut or something different, then we're able to.
Yeah, I think for me, like I love going to clinics, right? You can see your buddies, you can hang out, drink a beer, talk ball, go to clinics. But I think big thing for some people that I've talked to them all the time, like we go to Glazers, they come to Charlotte. I'll go to Glacier every year and I'll get there and some of the people are like, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm going here. They're like, I ain't looked at it yet. Have a plan, right? Like Coach, like you were saying, you want to learn certain things. So you have a plan. Hey, if a speaker's talking about that topic, obviously you're going to go to there. For me, I try not to even go to offensive line stuff. Like not that I know everything or that I'm better. Like that's what my focus is so much. So when I go to a clinic, I want to go to defensive sessions. I go to more defensive sessions now than I ever have over the last 3 years. I have, but before that, I never did. And I was like, I'm an offensive guy. Well, I go to defensive sessions, and I'm like, I'm going to go learn what the heck they're doing to bring these Sims and creepers and changing fronts on me and piss me off. But I'm just trying to learn that side of the ball more and more. But have a plan, and especially if it's a staff thing, don't everybody go sit in on 4 vert sessions. Like it doesn't help you. Everybody's going to certain ones, and you can, if you're the head coach, coordinator, whatever you want to do, send guys. If they want to send them to their position group, do that. Or if you want to, hey, there's 2 OL ones, but one time about gap scheme, one time about zone scheme, but you don't run any gap schemes. Obviously, you want to go to the zone one, so don't just throw them to the wolves. Don't all go to the same session. Space it out, and learn something new. Like you're not trying to learn the whole new scheme. You're trying to just pick up nuggets and coaching points or a new drill or something to be efficient. And don't get lost in the overwhelming source of information. Just pick and choose what you need, leave the rest of it.
How about off-season wise? What do you guys do to when you actually start to maybe think about preparing for your opponents? Where do you start in the off-season? Obviously, you can only count on so much, right? Because it's old film or an old opponent. Is there anything you guys do when you start to get into that phase. The professional development's done, the thinking about your team's done. Now you got to start thinking about, hey, we got to start getting ready in these practices a little bit.
I think for me, we worry about us, right? We worry about us all the way until about a week and a half before our first game. Now, of course, us as coaches, we know, hey, game number one, they're going to be odd front. All right, so you'll be more focused on odd front stuff, but we're worried about getting really good about what we do. Obviously, you're playing your own defense and stuff like that, but we're not worried about another opponent. We're not really talking about them that much, but can we get more efficient? If we want to be more tempo, we want to change tempos, do this and that. We want to get really good at that, or we want to get really good at running counter. We want whatever you want to get good at. Focus on yourself. Don't worry about. Don't have scout cards. You're not out there with scout cards. You're like, hey, this is what they showed last year. Like, or this is what they showed in the scrimmage that we got film on. Let's focus on ourselves. But now the overarching scheme, cool. Like, if you're playing a triple option team week one, you better be dive quarterback pitch. But you're not specifically honing in on one certain team, at least for us.
How about you, Ryan? You do?
I would say we're the same way. We're the same exact way. But I think for us, like I said, with what we are doing in the off season right now, and when we're going back through and evaluating ourselves, we're getting enough info of what we didn't do very well, and we're able to create situations during our practice or situations during group or team stuff to emulate that. So then we are getting extra practice with that stuff that we saw we were struggling with maybe the previous year, the previous week. I feel like on the defensive side, we do a lot of self-scout. So even throughout the season, so then we get to the point where we are looking at what we're not doing well, and we're able to practice that and get better at it, even though the times are shortened throughout the season. But I would say we don't really look at opponents that much, because also like our offense, what we do, we split up into our green gold teams like right before the year, and we just play football, right? Like we start every single practice out with a 4-down session where it starts at the 10-yard line. Offense's goal is to score the 4 times. They go 10, 8, 6, 4, and hopefully they can score the 4 times, and hopefully defense stops them. So it gets our practice's juices flowing. Then we go to circle drill. So we get the pads cracking early, right at the beginning of practice. That's really helped us switching to those green and gold teams, right, and being able to get that competition period so that they're seeing football and they're just seeing different plays, even just from our offensive guys.
Yeah, we've done that a little bit in the past, and then we had to get the point. This was when I was coaching just O-line. I'm like, can we at least keep like our right guard and tackle together? You know what I mean? Can we at least have some continuity and build some consistency? We've done that. But I guess on the other side of the coin, there's years I have my guys like break down a particular situation of the week 1 opponent and get some early ideas. Or sometimes we'll take the top 3 or 4 teams on our schedule and we'll go back and just generate and look at them and scout them and evaluate how can we beat them. Does our offense have at least early on what we think? And for me, we go into these summer days, some of the practices or scripts might be against our defense. So I know it's going to be heavy pressure, heavy man. If you can go move the ball against them, you're good. And then some of them are where we're worried just about us running our stuff. And then I like to interject just some week 1 team. Hey, here's a 10-play script against our week 1 opponent. Let's see how it looks right now. Let's start working on it.
We're all saying different things, and that's why football is such a beautiful game, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody can do something different and it still be efficient and get it done.
How about once we actually start the install? This is where I think things start to get really different for a lot of people. What's everybody's process like when it comes down to actually installing the offense or defense? Does anybody have a set way they do it? Is it different every year?
Coach Tatum, go ahead. Since you're the guest, you got this one first.
Yeah, we work off of a 3 or 4 day install calendar, you want to call it. But that being said, we have certain things we're trying to hit on certain days. But if we don't master that or kids don't understand, we don't move on. We're on certain areas. Like I said, I've been working with my OL since February. So when we put in duo power or whatever it be, power and counter or whatever it is, first day, they're good. I know we've been working it the whole time. So the skills are good. And we'll move on. And if they have their passing stuff, they're going to be doing maybe quick game, one screen, and deep down the field stuff, and then RPO. And then if we're good with that, after 1 day, then we'll move on. If we're not, we're going to hit it again. We'll do it again the next day. So we say it's a 3-day. We have it nice and we type it up and it's cool looking. But why would we just run through getting multiple plays and we didn't learn anything. So it's definitely fluid and it will change based on what we can handle. And then we'll reevaluate, hey, if we only ran through this many schemes, like last year we ran through all this stuff, right? But this year, maybe our guys aren't experienced as much, right? So we can't hit as much. So we chart that and be like, hey, so now if we got really good at these 3 runs, this many quicks, this many downfield stuff, now in the summer when you go to reteach it again, we got to say, hey, now what do we get? Do we get more? We learned more this time, or are we still in the same spot? And if you're in the same spot, you need to worry to think about dialing some stuff back and just getting really good at what you do, what they understand, what they can do. It's a long way to say, I think you just got to figure out what they can do, you're right, and just be fluid with it and don't be set in stone. Don't move on to another scheme and they haven't learned the original ones that you gave them.
I think for us, man, that's what we're talking about. That's the process we're talking about right now in our staff meetings, right? Defenses meeting at least weekly. One time is how are we going to structure our installs right this year? I think that's where you could always be better is just how can you become more efficient with more information for your kids and getting more football in. And for us, we've transitioned to doing our bigger. We used to do our single dog pressures first because it just makes sense. It's the easiest thing to get in, it's the easiest pressure pass. Well, I think we're transitioning to our 2-dog, 3-dog pressure pass earlier this year so that we can use them week 1, week 2, week 3, and we're not leaving them in the tank until week 4 and saying, okay, now we feel comfortable calling these. Because you can always call your single dogs easily. So adjusting the way we're doing things, that's funny you asked that, Kyle, that question, because that's something we're doing right now is just setting up our plan of progress through the off season of what we're going to look like and how we're going to install this stuff. And I think that's the fun thing about coaching, right? Like you can always go back and look at what you've done previous years and how it can be better.
I try to think when I first started calling stuff, I was like, we'd always get to play action later, right? We're going to do the run game. We're going to do the passing. We're going to do some screens. And then the last couple of years, what I really like to do is layer my plays as we install. So we'll put a base concept in.
Scaffolding, right? It's like teaching.
And then what we'll do is then we'll go ahead. And I think it helps my O-line too. So they're getting extra days to work on that run scheme, but I'm still moving everybody else on, right? Yeah. So now we'll start play action. We'll RPO. We'll gadget. We'll do things, right? And we'll now start to build all those layers. So everybody's moving at different paces. And I think it helps baby step the run game a little bit too for those
Tatum.
guys.
Kyle is the king. I'm telling you, the king of when you get to 7-on-7, telling you he's not motion, not doing play action.
This is such a lie.
He is such a lie. I was saying he's not doing something.
I gave you 2 warnings. I told you we would shift, and I also told you were going to get tight end wing combos out of 7-on-7. Yes, I did. All right, amazing. But how about maybe last question as we wrap this up a little bit? I think we're always trying to do this with this generation a little bit. What do you guys do to increase player intelligence in the offseason? Like how do you, maybe not even whether it's in your scheme or just general football, any unique things you do to try to help kids understand football better?
I guess for me, a lot. I guess working for 2 different college guys in my career, you have to value meeting time. You don't always get it. It depends on your head coach and the time that it takes, how he schedules things. I'm very blessed to have meeting time. I've been in places where I didn't, and I've seen the level of football IQ not be where I like it. So I've always been a meeting time type of guy, and I steal that time. It just feel like they prepare them a little more. Something else that I think is very underrated is walkthrough. And it doesn't have to be we all stand here and we walk through. No, you can get some work in. It's called run through, right? They're working fast, and whether you have guys there or you like you say, coach scaffold, great teaching buzzword. You put a guy with bags there, or you put once you get pads on, put guys with pads on. You work the defensive fronts, and you work through all of your run game. You work through it, stepping through all your blocks. I think that's so underrated because I feel like, oh, we're not hitting anybody. We're not working on a certain technique. No, but they're getting mental reps. It's not just mental. It's their physical muscle memory. They're actually doing it. I feel like that has been a game changer for me. I've been doing that, for about 5 or 6 years now. And I feel like just the level of understanding has gone up. I feel like the level of buy-in, because it's not in the live bullets, they're on the inside where everybody's going crazy and everybody's foaming at the mouth and it's intense. It's not during team when the head coach is there and he's screaming at you if something gets wrong. So me and the D-line coach, and we're getting through it. Like, I'm servicing him, he's servicing me, and we carve out time for that. Whether it be in a special teams period, you're stealing time, especially for our dynamic O-line, steal time in our special teams. And we can actually run through these things. And then when we get the team or inside, they're like, shoot, we just did this. We just did the script. Now we can go. And then I feel like you can get any of your fronts in, any twist, any blitzes in that we've seen on film, and kind of just understand it. You take training wheels off, go to team, and see how they react to it because they've already seen it in live, full speed type of drill.
No, I like that. I think for us, a cool thing that we're doing is I have an IA, I have an instructional assistant, right? I teach special ed. So one of my instructional assistants is in my class all the time. And we were doing our defensive meeting, and Miss Drew, she looks up, she's like, I cannot understand anything that you guys are saying right now. This sounds like you're literally speaking Chinese. And as what we're working on was our defensive glossary, right? Like, we have a defensive glossary of all the words that we're going to use that might not make sense to you. What does 3x1 mean when we say that? Mm-hmm. What does trips mean? What is the difference between trips open and trips closed? What's the difference between tray? There's so much in there right now that we have, but that you're going to use naturally, that we just talk as coaches and we say out loud that you don't know that kid knows what that means. They're just little 15, 16, 17-year-olds. They're yes, coach, just yes, coach. You know what I mean? So when they can have something at their fingertips of a glossary that they can look back like, all right, Coach Sarah said in black, we need to be here. And what does that coverage mean? What does black mean to us? What does green mean to us? You know what I mean? So we work on a coverage glossary or a defensive glossary. So there's a coverage aspect of it. There's a blitz aspect of it. There's different tabs in it. But it's just something that's really cool and I think very beneficial for our kids that we've been using. And honest to God, man, we were just yelling at some of our kids, dude. The USFL or the UFL is on right now, right? Turn on some football. Please watch some football at some rate or some capacity that is not just with me.
Yeah.
Just sit down and watch some football.
So that's been this year's off-season project. We've done it sparingly. Like, we've pulled up YouTube and watched some things before. But so, I've talked, Ryan, I've made those actual, what they call, I think it was Andrew Covendale talked about vision reels. And so I've gone through and I've made 20 to 30 play cut-ups of 49ers outside zone, college inside zone, duo at the NFL, and actually having an actual worksheet that we're going to go through together now. And after we've already installed in our terms, see somebody do it really well and also throw some bad ones in too to teach off of. And I think that's been, anytime we've done that, it's really captivated the kids and just been a really unique learning experience. So that's been this year's off-season little nugget, putting all that together.
Yeah, I have my OL manual, and I tell the kids this is, lack of a better term, your Bible, right? If you have any questions, you more than likely can find the answer. And of course, they all have my numbers. They can call or text me. But, I want them to have a place where they can go and they can have a reference. And I have a glossary as well. It's all my terms and blocks, whether it be their double team calls, whether it be any type of block that I would want them to do, or anything that I would say, like a coaching point. Or one big coaching point for me is check his hip, right? What does check his hip mean? And I'm trying to get them to understand certain things. My 1 to 3 word coaching points, just cut down on the learning process there. But if you have any questions, you can always go to that thing. I have every one of our blocks, every one of our plays on there against our main fronts, whether it be even with the over and under, whether it be odd, 404, or tight, or outside, 505, or stack, or bear, or anything funky. I have it all on there and what their responsibilities are. It's time consuming, but it is what it is. But I'm just trying to limit them having to. It's not natural for a kid to come up and say, hey, coach, I need help with this. They're not going to do that. You got to seek them out. But hey, you can do it on your own and nobody knows. You won't mind going and studying what it is. It's there for you. I share that to all of the kids in the off season. They have it all through the year.
That's great, man. I think anytime, I'm big on it too. I think probably a lot of coaches are making sure everybody has a common language to your side of the ball, right? So everybody's speaking the same language and understanding it. I think that's awesome. But Coach, I just want to say thank you. Thanks for coming on this episode 75, talking crafting the blueprint. We love what you're doing. If you're listening at this point, make sure you go and you follow Coach Tatum, subscribe, check out everything he's doing. He's putting out a lot of great content and a source you can keep learning from. So, Coach, we just want to encourage you to keep heading down that path, man. Keep doing a great job. Thanks for coming on, and make sure you subscribe to the show. Check out our sponsors, right? They're all different sponsors that are going to help you at different levels of what you need to take your program to the next level. And I really hope that this is an episode where you're able to leave with something, right? I think we had a nice roundtable conversation about a ton of different strategies or different ways we coach. And hopefully by spending this 45 minutes to an hour, you left here with something good to make you a better coach next year. Appreciate everybody for sticking with us, man. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, coaches, I really appreciate y'all having me on. Like I said before, it's a privilege to be able to speak on different podcasts, and y'all could have had anybody, but you had me. But I appreciate that. And yeah, if anybody wants to hit me up at Coach Tatum 90 on Twitter, Coach Tatum on YouTube, we're there every day. So I'm helping coaches every day. I might help. It might not be as much help to some people. I'm trying to answer questions. If you want to talk ball, I'm always down, and I'm available.
Love it. Appreciate it, everybody.